Okay, now we've got the editing done, and it's time to bring in some of the other types of audio that we can put, the other types of sound that we can put in Pro Tools. There are actually only three. One, of course, is audio that you record. We've just done that with the narration. Another one is loops. You probably have a library of loops on your machine already, even if you don't know about it. You might have loops spread all over your machine, loops being just a small portion of music that repeats over and over again. And the third way would be to play a music synthesizer and bring that sound into your machine. In our case, we've got a lot of synthesizers built into software on the machine that can run at the same time Pro Tools is recording, so it's not really MIDI. It's not a MIDI instrument. It's a MIDI-controlled software synthesizer that we're going to be using. So first of all, let's add a loop to what we've got here, and let's time it and make sure that it'll work with the music or with the narration that we've got. So here's how you do it. Go up to Window, go up to Window inside the Pro Tools menu and go down to Workspace. Click on Workspace. That'll show you all of the drives that are on your machine. The one that you're probably going to be working with is the Macintosh HD, the hard drive. That's right inside your machine. That's probably, unless you have a fancy setup, that's probably where your loops are going to be stored. So let's click on that. They could be stored all over, and you might search for them someday, but most of the time you're going to know that at least the Apple loops are going to be in the library. These are the ones that came with GarageBand when you bought your machine, and GarageBand is probably still on your machine. So let's double-click on Library. That opens up a new window. We could have done it the other way too. And I'm going to go to Audio. Double-click on Audio and look for Apple loops from Apple, and there they all are. I've bought a bunch of jam packs on my machine, but every Apple is going to have that one right there. So let's double click on that, and there are a whole bunch of Apple loops. All you have to do to audition them is click on the speaker. Okay, now when you don't want to hear it anymore, just click on it again. The one that I'm going to use, I've already selected it so I could save some time, is called Funky Latin 01. So it's a percussion loop. Funky Latin Drums 01. Let's listen to it. Yeah, that'll work just fine. So in order to get it into my... Let me close that window there. In order to get it into my editing space, it's real easy. All I have to do is grab it and drag it. And there it is. Just that small loop right down there. But now it's a little harder than that to make this thing actually work. I'm going to stretch it out. The easiest way to do that would be to right-click on it, or control-click, and select Loop. And I'm going to guess that a proper number of loops will be about 15. That should last up to 30 seconds. And sure enough, it does. It's almost exactly 30 seconds. So let's go ahead and play it with both of those tracks, the audio track, the narration track, and this loop track that we just put in. Press return to move back to the beginning, and press the space bar to play. Hey, come on. You know you want to get serious about music production. Okay, already you can hear that there are two big things wrong with it. One of them is that the narration is just absolutely covered by this drum sound. So we're going to have to use the volume control to make it get softer when the narration comes in. The other thing is that you probably could hear this too, that there's a little bit of a space between each iteration of that loop. Let me mute the narration audio so that all we hear is this, and you'll hear that little extra jar there. Well, I don't want that, and there's an easy way to fix it. I'm going to press Command Z to go back to the original loop. I'm going to expand out so that I can see it, and I'm going to go back to grid mode. Now, when I'm in grid, you can see these lines right here, and you'll notice that the end of the loop isn't exactly lined up with the end of that measure. So in grid mode, all I have to do is take the clipping tool here and grab and pull back, and whammo, it goes directly to the bar line. So now I'm going to duplicate it, loop it 15 times. Okay. Make it a little smaller so we can see more of the loops. And now let's play it. Yeah, just about perfect. Okay, so what I'm going to try and do here is real common in working on radio ads, where you have a musical introduction, then immediately the music gets out of the way, it ducks down underneath, and the narration comes out. Then probably toward the end, we'll bring the volume back up on the music bed, and then we'll fade it out in an outro. So let's move the narration over a little bit. Oops, that was stupid. Gotta make sure I'm in waveform mode when I move this stuff. Okay, now it's not quite right. It moved it over and there's a little bit of a gap there. I would really like that first word to come on right at the bar line. So I'm going to move it back to about there, and that's close enough. Now I'm going to go down to, let's close that up a little bit. Let's open this one a little bit and maybe even expand it this way. So now I've got, I'm going to go to the volume view, and I'm going to drop that volume way down just before we get to the first word. Okay, let's see if that works. Press return to go back to the beginning. Press space to start. Oops, still got it muted. Hey, come on. You know you wanna. Yeah, don't be afraid to really pull that down, because once you hear the music, the first loop, you've got that loop in your mind, and you can almost get rid of it completely. The one thing you don't want is two actors competing in your music. This is the main actor. That's what you want to call attention to. This down here isn't an actor. This is just the backdrop. It might be the building and the set that's created. Might even just be curtains in the back. It's there, sure. It gives you a mood, but you don't want to have it take precedence over the other stuff that you have. So let me do a little bit of other control here. Oops, I'm going to make that a little bit smaller. And maybe, just for the fun of it, we'll fill in some of these spaces between, like that. Just bring the music out a little bit. And at the end, we're going to start bringing the music back up about to here. And then we're really going to ramp it up. And finally, for the last couple of seconds, we'll fade it out in the outro. So let's see what we've got so far. Hey, come on. You know you wanna. You wanna get serious about music production. Sequencing, synthesis, mics, mixers, recording techniques. You wanna master all of it. So, where do you go? Right here. The camp's own certificate in music technology. Come on, get serious. Okay, it's not too bad. The rest of it is the art and aesthetics of doing this. I'm going to do that. I think I'll do that. Maybe even have this one stay loud a little bit longer. I could do all sorts of changes in here too, but right now that's good enough, and we'll move on to the next section, putting in the MIDI stuff in the next video.